must say that the next time I volunteer for the reading, I'm going to find out what it is. Because I spent my whole evening doing that instead of cutting out recipes for. I always thought that when the people were leaving and going back to their home, that the only body of water they crossed was the one between Africa and Asia. The same one that we were running oil boats up and down that big wide thing. And it turns out that they crossed another one. And it comes up in this reading. They followed Moses across the Red Sea, but then Moses died, and then Joshua led the Israelites across the Jordan River, which when you look at the map, you see that's way over in the middle of Israel now. And really figured that out. And along the way, and across the river, the Christians really took the tribes and other people that were there, took them on. And but after a while, they got to be able to live kind of with each other. And the tribe said, "Yeah, we'll be Christians too, but don't bother us anymore." And so anyway, after they crossed the river, after they crossed, Moses died and Joshua led the band from there on. And he shows up in the last verses of this book in the Bible. And he's worried because he doesn't think the Israelites are going to hang on. They're going to just kind of get together with everybody else. And what we've got to do is spread the word from the Israelites. So he got all the leaders together, and this is basically what he told them. So Joshua made a covenant with the people that day and set them a statute and an ordinance, statute. And Joshua wrote these words in the book of the law of God, and took a great stone and set it up there under an oak that was by the sanctuary of the Lord. And Joshua said unto all the people, Behold, this stone shall be a witness unto us, for it hath all the words of the Lord which he spake to us. It shall be therefore a witness to you, lest ye deny your God. So Joshua let the people depart, every man unto his inheritance. And then it came to pass after these things that Joshua, the son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died, being 110 years old. And when they buried him in the border of his inheritance in Temethsor, which is in the mount of Ephraim, on the north side of the hill of Galash, and Israel. So Joshua had told the people, if you forsake the Lord and serve strange gods, then he will turn and do you hurt and consume you, and that he hath done you good. And the people said unto Joshua, Nay, but we will serve unto the Lord. Ye are witnesses against yourself that we have chosen you, the Lord, to serve him. And they said, We are witnesses. Now therefore put away the strange gods which are among you, and incline your heart unto the Lord God of Israel. And the people said to Joshua, The Lord of our God we will serve, and his voice we will obey. Finally got to the right place.
The word of God for all the people.
Thanks be to God. Hallelujah for this word.
be in a moment of prayer together. May the words of my lips, the meditations of all of our hearts, be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, you who are our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Years ago, I quoted a minister named James Moore, and has written a lot of different books. And somebody in my church said he was my pastor in Louisiana one time. He went on to become a pastor of one of the largest Methodist churches down in Texas, and has written several books. And he tells the story of when he was in seminary, which was in one of the Methodist seminaries in Ohio. He was serving 2 churches at that time, and his wife was working as an assistant librarian in a library at the seminary. And he was in his second year there, or second year of being pastor of these churches. It was getting toward Christmas that year. He said, we had sat down, my wife and I, and determined when we could do our Christmas shopping, which turned out to be the day before Christmas. He had 2 services that evening on Christmas Eve, and Christmas that year happened to fall on a Sunday. So he was going to preach, and then they would drive to Tennessee for to see family. So he said when that morning came, the day before Christmas, at 10 o'clock we hit the stores in Columbus, Ohio. And we shopped for quite a while. With some good luck, we had to be careful because we didn't have very much money. And he said, I thought we were finished, and then my wife said, oh, we need to go to the fabric shop because I want to get some fabric to make a couple gifts while we're driving to Tennessee to finish it up. He said, okay. And then so I want to read this part of it to you. So we went to the fabric department. Now I can hang in there pretty well with the shopping when you are just buying ready-made gifts. But fabric shopping is not my cup of tea. I just go weak. All the strength and all my muscles just goes away, and my legs and arms begin to feel like wet spaghetti. So as June continued to shop for the fabrics she needed, I took the 2 completely filled shopping bags and started looking for a place to sit down. No luck. There was not an empty chair anywhere in sight. But there were all of these large bolts of material on display throughout the fabric department. All these bolts of material with the fabrics draped this way and that to display them beautifully. I began to look for a bolt of material I could lean against. Then I saw it, a large bolt of black material over in the corner. It was a perfect resting place. The next thing, best to a chair. And there I was with those 2 heavy shopping bags in each arm with instructions from my wife not to let them be put down. So I went over to the corner and leaned back against the soft bolt of black material. Oh, it was so wonderful. I was so tired and it felt so good to lean my weight on that bolt of material. I was resting there so nicely when all of a sudden I felt this strange sensation. I thought, I'm so tired, I'm just imagining things, but it felt like that bolt of material moved. And then I realized it did move. And I turned around, and the bolt of black material turned around, and I found myself looking into the sweet, angelic face of an elderly Roman Catholic nun. I was so embarrassed. My face turned red as a beet. And I stammered out. The only thing I could think of to say was, "I'm sorry, I thought you were a bolt of material." What a terrible thing to say. I couldn't believe it, that I had just blurted out. So I said, I am so sorry. And the elderly nun reached over, patted my cheek, and she said, your sins are forgiven. And then she winked at me and turned and walked away. We need to be careful sometimes what we lean against, right? And I'm sure maybe we've all never done anything like that. I would think that if I was that pastor, I would never show up in Columbus again, hoping never to see that nun there. But there are those times when we lean on things which are not necessarily all that good. And that's what Joshua is making the point. As the Israelites have gone across the rivers, gone across the body of waters, into Canaan, the promised land. There's one battle after another, as those of you who are doing the grand sweep have read recently. But also in that land there were great crops, and they were tempted to worship the agricultural gods of the different people there, and then other things. And we sometimes worship and do that also. We worship things which aren't necessarily God. And we even put our weight on it. You know, if I could just get a little bit more money, I'll be okay. If I could just do this, I would be okay. And if we lean on God, and that's what Joshua says there. Joshua says, choose this day whom you will serve and who you will live for. God or these other idols. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And I think when we do that, I think one of the reasons, a couple of you shared about being with family, and someone else, and Patrick, the gratitude that we sometimes feel for some of the things that happen to us, and the thankfulness. And when we lean on God, it's to lean with a belly full of gratitude, if you will. You know, to be thankful for what we have. There was an exercise that a teacher did at one time in a classroom. She asked the kids, what are the things that you marvel at in the world? What do you think are the 7 wonders of the world? And they all had a chance to vote in this classroom. And they came out with the Grand Canyon, Taj Mahal, Statue of Liberty, and others of that nature. And the teacher noticed that there was one little girl who hadn't filled out her form yet. And she said to her, Sally, are you having a hard job coming up with your list? And she said, yes, I am. But finally, she had finished, and the teacher had each one stand up when they told about what they thought these wonders were. And this is Sally's list. To be able to see. To be able to hear. To be able to touch. To be able to feel. To be able to taste. To be able to laugh. To be able to love. And the teacher reports this, that when Sally had finished her list, you could have heard a pin drop in that classroom. Isn't it amazing that we often overlook the wonders that we have all the time with us? To see, feel, touch, taste, and to be able to express gratitude to God for those things. Yeah, you know, I wouldn't have had the chance to get to know any of you probably. Maybe one or two I might have. If Neil had not gotten sick when he did. And that was the last thing I would have wanted any one of us, for Neil to do that and to eventually, succumb to his cancer. But there certainly is a sense of gratitude that I feel for the way you all have so warmly put up with me. To lean on God is to choose to be grateful for life. Someone once said, every day we should pick out some things that we are especially grateful for and thank God for them. But to lean on God means, and what Joshua is saying as Joshua is actually approaching death, is he said, I will trust God. I will trust God. And I believe all will be well, as a famous mystic once said. And to trust God for whatever a man reported seeing at an airport an elderly man. That means he was 78 or older. Apologies to those of you over. Next year, elderly will only be 79 and over, so there you go. But he was watching a daughter and him say goodbye at the airport. And it was somewhat emotional. And one said to the other, it is enough. I wish you enough too. In the conversation went something like this. The old man said, I wish you enough, as he hugged his daughter. And his daughter responded, Dad, our life together has been more than enough. Your love is all I've ever needed. I love you so much, and I wish you enough too, Dad. They hugged and held each other tightly, and then she turned and left. And the father walked over toward the window. It used to be you could do this. You can't always do this now in that place, but you could look out and see the plane that would be taking off. And tears were coming down his face. Another man had been watching this, and the father turned to the man and said, "Did you ever say goodbye to someone knowing that you would not see each other again in this lifetime?" And the man said, "Yes, I have. But please forgive me for asking, but why is this a final goodbye?" And the man said, "Well, I'm old and my health is deteriorating. My daughter lives a long ways away, and we know that the next time she comes home will be for my funeral." "I'm sorry," said the stranger. "It's okay," said the father. "I have had a wonderful life, and it will soon be over for me, but it's been a great ride. God has blessed me, and God has always been with me. And God will be with me in the life to come. I have no regrets. I trust God for whatever is ahead." The other man said, "May I ask you something? When you were saying goodbye, I heard you both say to one another, 'I wish you enough.' What does that mean?" Father smiled and said, "That's a wish that has been handed down for generations in our family. My mom and dad used to say it to everyone. When we say, 'I wish you enough,' we are wanting the other person to have enough good things to sustain them, enough good things to keep them happy and faithful and appreciative and fulfilled, strong and confident." The father looked at the other man and said to him, "I wish you enough," and walked away. Choose God. As for me and my household, Joshua said, I will choose God. I set before you life and death. Choose life. I wish you enough. Maybe share that.